Now, I'm sure we've all had the experience where we had a nice handheld shot that we really liked, and it's just shaky and pretty unusable in its current condition. You bring it into Premiere, try to throw some warp stabilizer on it, but you end up getting that terrible warping that we unfortunately all know way too well. I've had this happen to me way too many times. So thankfully, I've been able to find 3 different techniques that I can use to stabilize just about any clip. Now, these do require After Effects, but I'm going to show you how to transfer footage from Premiere into After Effects super easily, and I'm also going to walk you through the entire process step by step. So to start off, I just want to show you how you can transfer your footage from Premiere into After Effects through dynamic linking. Basically, you're just going to right click on your file, scroll down and go to Replace with After Effects Composition. What that's going to do is it's automatically going to open up an After Effects project that's linked to your Premiere project. So any changes you make in After Effects are just automatically going to get applied straight to the clip in Premiere. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into your warp stabilizer settings. The reason that you need to do this in After Effects instead of Premiere is that in After Effects, it actually lets you go into the advanced settings and show yourself the specific track points. You want to go in and remove those little tracking points from any object that's quickly moving through your frame or has a lot of movement, and you instead want to leave the ones that are tracked onto the background or something that's going to be stable within your image. So this is just the default tool when you have the warp stabilizer effect selected, and I'm just going to go ahead and select all of the little track points. I just go ahead and hit delete, and you can see that it updates the stabilization. What you do now is you scroll through the rest of your video. I generally go a few frames at a time, and you'll see that even though you deleted the ones in your current frame, there's still some that are added on later on in the video. You don't need to go every frame, just go every 10 or 20 frames and delete any that are on moving objects. So once you've gotten into a place that you're comfortable with, what you're going to do is go back over to your effect control panel, and you're just going to uncheck select track points. And what that's going to do is it's going to punch it on your image and stabilize it. So as you can see, it's looking a lot better than before. You don't still have that same warping effect that was happening in the back. And now this is a totally usable clip. Now let's go ahead and move on to the second technique that I also utilize, which is going to be over in the tracker panel. So for this, I'm just going to select my clip and I'm going to click on Stabilize Motion. Now what this does is it opens up a little track point 1 for me to use. So I'm going to zoom in and expand these 2 boxes a little bit. How these 2 boxes work is it basically gives After Effects a range that it can use to identify where the point is moving. So if there's a lot of movement, you're going to want to open up those boxes more. The bigger the box is, the longer that it's going to take to render through, but the more accurate that your track's going to be just because it has more data to work with. By default, this is just going to give you a single track point, which is all that I really need for this example. You can also check rotation or scale over here, but since I'm basically just trying to adjust for some simple shake, I don't really need to worry too much about those, and I can just leave position selected. Really what I'm looking for here is an object that has 3 things. 1, you want it to be in focus. 2, you want it to be semi-stationary. You don't want it to be moving around a whole lot, because when you track that object, that's going to be the thing that After Effects stabilizes everything else around. And finally, you want to find a point that has some good contrast. So you don't want something that's all the same color. You ideally want something that has a hard edge and a change in color. So I think what I'm going to do is zoom in here and I'm going to set it right on this corner. And then you want to go over here and you want to hit the Analyze Forward arrow. All right, so I just finished tracking. I'm going to go ahead and scrub through. And as you can see, it did a really good job of tracking onto this point. First go, I didn't even have to adjust anything. Sometimes you'll have to mess around with this a little bit to find a track point that works, but just keep at it. Try a couple different points until you get something where it really latches on there. So once you have that tracking data, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to this tracker panel and hit apply. And then your motion tracker apply options, you can just leave it set to X and Y and hit OK. What you can see now is it's basically stabilized around that specific point, and the rest of the video is moving to keep that perfectly still. This is essentially what happens when you use Warp Stabilizer, except with Warp Stabilizer, it automatically crops in to eliminate the transparent space around the edges. So basically, we're just going to manually crop in and give it the same effect. Now moving on to my final technique for stabilization. If for some reason these first 2 don't work and you still have some tricky footage that you need to get stabilized but just can't find a way to do it, this is another option that you can use. This is actually going to be utilizing a plugin that's included within After Effects called Mocha, which is basically just a third-party tracking software that comes with After Effects. To open this, you're just going to make sure that your clip is selected. You're going to go up to the Animation tab and go down to Track in Boris FX Mocha. That's going to add Mocha into your effect controls. So you just go over here and click on this Mocha icon, and that's going to launch Mocha. So you just want to make sure that up at the top here, you just have the Essentials tab selected. Now, the beautiful thing about Mocha is that it's actually able to get a more accurate track on things that are out of focus or don't have much detail in them. What you want to do is you want to go up to this toolbar in the top left and select this little X-spline layer tool. I'm just going to draw kind of a basic square mask around one of the areas on the background. You're just going to click and it'll automatically start to create this line for you. And once you have the square that you like, you're going to need to right click. And what that's going to do is it's going to exit out of the mask creation. So now that I have my mask here, I'm going to go over to this left side and just hit this track forward arrow. So there you have it. Mocha has just successfully tracked through my clip. If you go down to the bottom here and scrub through, you can see how good of a job it did to tracking the background. Once you save it, you can go ahead and just exit out of the Mocha window. In After Effects, you want to go to your Effect Controls panel and go down to where it says Tracking Data under your Mocha plugin. Hit Create Track Data, and you just want to select Layer 1. Since we just tracked one mask within Mocha, there's only going to be one layer to choose from. So just go ahead and select that and hit OK. And what that's going to do is it's going to transfer the data from Mocha over to After Effects. So finally, in order to actually stabilize your footage, you're going to go to Export Option and change it to Transform. Check this invert box, and then you want to change your layer export to whatever the name of your video layer is. Go down to the bottom and hit Apply Export. So now when I play through my footage, you can see it does a similar thing to the last technique, where you get the negative space around your image. You're going to go up to the Effects and Presets panel and type in Transform. So I'm just going to go ahead and scale in and then adjust the position accordingly. So this is the after, and as you can clearly see, Mocha did a great job of latching onto that background and stabilizing the whole image. So now you no longer have to strictly rely on Warp Stabilizer in order to try and stabilize all your footage. You have 3 new techniques within After Effects that you can utilize, and if you incorporate all of these, you should be able to stabilize just about any clip. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave it a like and subscribe. I encourage you guys to go and test out these 3 methods yourself and see how they work for you.